Dear viewers, why is eating 14 eggs a day for 10 consecutive days so intriguing? If you have tried every diet imaginable, run until you sweat, or consumed countless weight loss teas, yet your belly still won't shrink, the real problem might not be the fat under your skin but a more dangerous hidden enemy: visceral fat. This is the fat tightly wrapped around your liver, heart, and pancreas. It doesn't just make your abdomen stiff, but also silently causes inflammation, disrupts hormone balance, increases the risk of diabetes, heart disease, and even cancer. The question is there a way to force the body to stop storing? Flip the internal switch to burn fat, and make it use visceral fat itself as energy? A controversial but increasingly popular method is the FFAS, egg fast, that is, eating 14 eggs every day, continuously for 10 days. It might sound bizarre, but this very metabolic shock can create powerful changes in the body's system. In this video, we will frankly analyze why visceral fat is so stubborn. What does eating 14 eggs for 10 days actually do to your liver? Hormones and weight? What are the real benefits? And what risks should we be cautious of? And most importantly, if you want to try it, how can you do so safely and maintain long-term results? If you find this topic helpful, hit the subscribe button now so you don't miss out on valuable knowledge that will help you live a healthier and happier life every day. What is visceral fat? Why is it more dangerous than subcutaneous fat? When fat is mentioned, many people only think of the layer right under the skin, the soft part you can pinch. But there is a much more dangerous type of fat, visceral fat. It lies deep inside, surrounding vital organs like the liver, heart, and pancreas. The scariest part is that you can't see it. Some people look thin on the outside but are filled with visceral fat internally, often referred to as skinny fat. Unlike subcutaneous fat, which mainly makes the body larger, visceral fat acts like a harmful endocrine gland. It constantly secretes inflammatory substances, disrupting hormone balance, which causes insulin, the hormone that controls blood sugar, to become dysregulated. When insulin is chronically high, the body is locked into storage mode, making it nearly impossible to burn fat. The consequences of visceral fat are severe. It dramatically increases the risk of type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular disease, fatty liver, high blood pressure, and even cancer. It also causes seemingly simple symptoms like a stiff belly, fatigue after eating, difficulty losing weight, or poor sleep. In other words, visceral fat is a ticking time bomb inside the body. The noteworthy point is that ordinary weight loss, just eating less or exercising more, is not enough to solve the problem of visceral fat. This is because it's not just an issue of energy surplus, but one of hormones and inflammation. Therefore, any true strategy to burn visceral fat must start with lowering insulin, reducing inflammation, and freeing the liver from overload. Why is visceral fat so stubborn? Many people believe that just eating less and exercising more will make belly fat melt away. But in reality, visceral fat does not follow that simple calculation. It is controlled by hormones, inflammatory responses, and stress in the body. There are 4 root causes that make visceral fat so stubborn. Stress and the hormone cortisol. When you experience prolonged worry, poor sleep, or over-exercise, the body secretes a lot of cortisol, the stress hormone. High cortisol forces the body to store fat in the central area like the abdomen. As this location is easily accessible when quick energy is needed, that's why many people find their belly swells more when they are stressed, even if they don't eat much. Alcohol. When drinking alcohol, the liver focuses all its energy on detoxifying ethanol, neglecting its fat-burning function. Beer also contains estrogen, which promotes abdominal fat accumulation. Lower quality wines may even carry pesticide residues that cause inflammation. As a result, visceral fat thickens day by day. Insulin spikes from carbohydrates, carbs, starches, sugars, especially refined types like white rice, bread, pasta, and sweets, cause blood sugar to spike, dragging insulin levels high. Even healthy grains like oatmeal, quinoa, or brown rice, if eaten in large quantities, convert into sugar. When insulin is frequently high, the body is locked into storage mode. Fructose and fatty liver. 90% of fructose goes straight to the liver. When too much is consumed from sodas, fruit juices, or even sweet fruits, the liver becomes overloaded, converts the sugar into fat, and stores it right there. Gradually, this forms a fatty liver, which then spreads as visceral fat. In summary, these 4 factors make visceral fat stubborn and harder to burn than subcutaneous fat. To address the root cause, you must simultaneously lower insulin, reduce cortisol, limit alcohol, and free the liver from the sugar burden. The 3 core mechanisms of the FFAS, egg fast. Having understood why visceral fat is hard to eliminate, we need a strategy that can simultaneously impact insulin, the liver, and appetite. This is why the FFAS, a diet centered around eggs, was proposed. The formula sounds simple but is very strict. Eating 14 eggs every day, continuously for 10 days, with almost no carbs and very few foods other than eggs. The uniqueness of this method lies in 3 factors. Lowers insulin. It cuts almost the entire source of starches, causing insulin to drop sharply, forcing the body to switch to fat-burning mode. Choline supplementation for the liver. Eggs contain choline, a key nutrient that helps transport fat out of the liver, supporting the reduction of fatty liver, which is the epicenter of visceral fat. Sustained satiety. The protein and fat in eggs create a feeling of lasting fullness, which helps break the habit of snacking, a factor that keeps insulin high. To put it simply, FFAS is not a random menu, it is a powerful metabolic reset that forces the body to leave the state of sugar storage and step into the state of visceral fat burning. However, it is only a short-term intervention, cannot be maintained for life, and requires controlled execution. Observable benefits and potential risks. To understand why 14 eggs a day for 10 days can create such noticeable changes, we need to look directly at the 3 core mechanisms: lowering insulin, supplementing choline for the liver, and creating lasting satiety. 1. How it works, expanded section. Lowers insulin. Insulin is the switch that determines whether the body burns fat or stores it. FFAS cuts almost all carbs, leaving only protein and fat, the 2 nutrient groups that have the least impact on insulin. When insulin drops low, the body is forced to take stored fat, including visceral fat, and use it for energy. Choline and the liver. The liver is the central factory controlling metabolism. Eggs, especially the yolk, are a rich natural source of choline. Choline is involved in transporting fat out of the liver. By providing a large amount of choline, FFAS activates the cleanup mechanism for accumulated fat in the liver, thereby improving insulin signaling and unlocking the whole body's ability to burn fat. Sustained satiety. The protein and fat in eggs create a feeling of lasting fullness. As a result, those applying FFAS have fewer sugar cravings, think less about snacking, and the frequency of insulin spikes is reduced to a minimum. The core value is low insulin, a liberated liver, and the body relearning how to burn fat effectively. 2. Observable benefits, 10-day impact. When starting FFAS, many people are surprised because the change happens faster than expected. In the first 2 to 3 days, weight can visibly drop. The main reason is that glycogen is depleted, which also draws water out of the body. Stable energy and reduced cravings. From the 4th day onward, The body begins to learn how to use fat for fuel. Many people notice more stable energy, no longer feel sleepy after meals, and specifically, the habit of snacking is significantly reduced. Liberated liver. The liver gets a chance to rest and release fat. When the liver is lighter, hormone signals in the body become more sensitive, helping the metabolic process run smoothly. Measurable results. For some, the waistline shrinks by a few centimeters in just 10 days, not just due to water loss, but because visceral fat begins to be mobilized. 3. Potential risks and who should not try it. No method offers only benefits without potential risks. FFAS is no exception. Cholesterol concern. Eating 14 eggs a day means taking in a very large amount of cholesterol. Nearly 1,000 milligrams per day. More than 3 times the average recommended level. For those who are sensitive or already have heart disease or high blood lipids. The risk of increasing LDL, bad cholesterol, cannot be ignored. Pressure on the liver and gallbladder. The high amount of fat and cholesterol can put pressure on the liver and gallbladder. People who have previously had gallstones, pancreatitis, or liver, biliary function disorders may experience symptoms of bloating, pain in the right upper quadrant, or indigestion. Nutritional deficiencies. During the 10 days of only eating eggs, the body has almost no source of vitamin C fiber, and many antioxidants from vegetables. FFAS is strictly not suitable for people with heart disease, diabetes taking medication, lipid disorders, liver or gallbladder disease, pregnant or breastfeeding women, children, and those with an egg allergy. If you find this warning section important, please share it immediately so others do not apply it incorrectly and suffer unfortunate risks. The detailed, uncomplicated 10-day implementation guide. To achieve results from FFAS, the quantity of eggs is not the only important factor, the distribution, preparation, and support for the body to adapt are also crucial. 1. The specific 10-day roadmap. Days 1 to 3. Getting acclimated and overcoming keto flu. Divide 12 to 14 eggs into 3 meals. Supplement with 2 to 3 grams of mineral salt or sugar-free electrolytes to avoid fatigue, dizziness, or the so-called keto flu. Days 4 to 7. Focusing on satiety and low insulin. Switch to eating 2 main meals a day. 6 to 7 eggs per meal. Add 1 teaspoon of butter or olive oil to the meal to increase the feeling of fullness. If constipated, you can supplement with soluble fiber or a few low-carb leafy greens. Days 8 to 10. Activating powerful fat burning. This is the phase to combine smart exercise. Add 1 to 2 short sprint sessions and walk 10 to 20 minutes after meals. 2. Preparation principle. Prioritize boiling, steaming, or light pan frying. Avoid deep frying in vegetable oil, as it easily oxidizes and causes inflammation. You can season lightly with salt or pepper to make it easier to eat. Don't just diet. 3 habits for stronger fat burning. FFAS can create a metabolic boost, but relying only on the menu is not enough for visceral fat to melt away quickly and sustainably. To ensure truly solid results, you need 3 supporting levers: correct exercise, deep sleep, and stress management. Correct exercise. Prolonged cardio like running for hours often causes cortisol to increase, inadvertently encouraging belly fat storage. Conversely, short sprint exercises are highly effective. Additionally, walking 10 to 20 minutes after meals is an extremely simple yet effective strategy. Deep sleep. Sleep is a free drug for the hormone system. Deep sleep will lower cortisol, increase testosterone, and support the fat mobilization process. Stress management. Mental stress is just as toxic as sugar and alcohol. Simple techniques like box breathing or writing down 5 things you are grateful for before bed can help calm the nervous system, thereby lowering cortisol and insulin. When these 3 factors combine with FFAS, the body not only loses fat quickly but also relearns how to function in a state of balance. Measure correctly. Don't just look at the scale. A major mistake in weight loss is obsessively watching the number on the scale. In reality, weight can fluctuate due to water, glycogen, or muscle mass. With visceral fat, the important thing is not how much you weigh, but how the body changes in your waistline, blood markers, and energy levels. The correct way to measure is as follows. Before starting and after finishing the 10 days, record your waist circumference across the navel, weight, morning blood pressure, and take a side view photo of your abdomen. Daily, you should monitor perceived indicators, energy level, quality of sleep, craving levels, and digestive status. If possible, get blood tests before and after the intervention, fasting blood sugar, blood lipids, liver enzymes. Most importantly, don't just watch the scale. A person can lose 2 to 4 centimeters from their waist in 10 days. Even if their weight only drops 1 to 2 kilograms, that is the sign that visceral fat is truly being mobilized. What to do after 10 days to avoid regain? FFAS should only be seen as a short-term reset. If you return to old habits after 10 days, eating lots of sugar, starch, and alcohol, visceral fat will quickly accumulate again. Therefore, the soft landing phase is the key step to locking in the results. Smart eating. Maintain an 8-hour eating window each day, e.g. from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m., with 2 main meals rich in protein. Add nutrient-rich foods to your portion, but still avoid alcohol. Limit red meat. Prioritize small fatty fish, along with a moderate amount of low-carb vegetables. Do not drink alcohol during the post-intervention week, to allow the liver to continue its recovery. Maintain the habit of walking after meals, and if the body is adapted, keep 1 to 2 short sprint sessions per week. What you are looking for is stable energy, good sleep, and a belly that no longer swells back up. Conclusion. Dear viewers, we have gone from the root cause of visceral fat, through the factors that make it hard to lose, to the FFAS strategy, along with its mechanism, benefits, risks, and safe application method. The key takeaway is that visceral fat is not just about being overweight, it's an issue of hormones and inflammation. FFAS provides a short-term boost, lowering insulin, liberating the liver, reducing cravings, and activating the body to burn fat. But it is not a permanent miracle, and it is certainly not for everyone. The important thing is that after 10 days, you turn that boost into a sustainable lifestyle. Eat smart, exercise moderately but correctly, sleep deep, and manage stress. The simple message is that sustainable health doesn't come from a single food or a single secret, but from a system of correct habits. FFAS is just the lever to start you on that journey. Hit the subscribe button today. A small click can open up a whole big journey, a journey to live healthy, free, and peaceful with your children and grandchildren.